Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following confession that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a message that I received, and the message, it reads like this. How are you, Brother Nashim? Please post my story, but hide my name. I am a 67-year-old woman. I retired from being a nurse a couple of years ago after working in Joburg Hospital for a very long time, over 30 years that I have been working at this particular hospital that I do not want to mention directly by name because I'm afraid of the consequences of the actions that I took. But I just want other women to know that these things, they are happening, especially if you are a first-time mother. After you would have given birth, you become so exhausted, so much that you won't even think much about someone even stealing your baby or stealing something, even your blood. It can be stolen when you have given birth and you are exhausted, because most first-time mothers, after giving birth, they simply go to bed and they just fall fast asleep with their legs wide open because of the exhaustion. So if it happens that there is a satanic nurse that is working in that maternity ward at the time when you would have given birth, you are going to be used for rituals by soap. That is what I want to tell these young women who have never given birth, to at least pray when you are about to go into labor and tell God to protect you. If there is evil that is happening in that hospital, at least that evil, may it not come near you. I am writing this, my heart is already heavy, and I have carried this secret for a very long time, and I just want to confess before I die. I was born in Venda, but I met my husband in Johannesburg. I met him a very long time ago. We eventually got married. It was in 1990. In the beginning, our life was very good. We both worked really hard. I was a nurse, and my husband, he did various jobs. But then things started to change. My husband started getting interested in traditional cultural matters after he had visited Lesotho, and when he came back, all of a sudden, that is when he said that he was interested in following his traditional matters. At first, I saw it as something normal because both of our families, they respected tradition. They had gone to Lesotho because his mother had came to South Africa and she had been working as a maid a very long time ago. And ever since she had been working as a maid, she then met my father-in-law. They got married and she never returned back to her country. So finally, they were able to locate her relatives, and they wanted to inform her relatives that they just wanted them to visit her grave. So when those relatives came to South Africa, they did their rituals, and they said that they were carrying the spirit of their relative, my mother-in-law, back to their country. So when he was in Lesotho, he said that he was inspired about the things that he saw, and then he decided that he also wanted to become a traditional healer. When he said that he wanted to become a traditional healer, as the supportive wife that I was, I decided to support my husband. I never really got involved in his affairs. I just knew that people came looking for help from him. It was in the year 1998. I remember that things started getting really difficult. Then there was a certain family from the DRC that was living in Durban that looked for him. They were deeply troubled. And this came as something that was nice because we had been struggling financial wise. We had been struggling because of other things that had happened. So when these people from DRC that were staying in Durban came to consult with my husband, seeing that they had money, even my husband said that the days of struggling are over. They were troubled and they came crying, and they said that they suspected that there was a Tokolo that was giving them problems in their house. And they said that they were hearing noises that they did not understand, and they were afraid to even stay in their home. What surprised them was that they had tried to rent out the house to other people, but the tenants, both of them, had left because they said that they were hearing voices that was cautioning them not to continue staying at that house, otherwise bad things was going to happen to them. They said that if he was going to help them, they were going to donate a Toyota D4D that they had. My husband was very happy because we were going to use that vacuum to start our business of going to buy fruit and veggies in their farms and then coming to sell them in the city. He said that this was a good opportunity, and he then went to Durban with his assistant. The first 2 days, everything was normal. On the third day, that was when I received a phone call that I will never forget. My husband was no longer speaking properly. He was just crying and laughing at the same time. I immediately rushed to Durban with my brother. When I arrived, I was shocked. My husband, he was running mad. He was talking to the sky. He was talking to himself. He would run away. He would laugh at you when you are talking to him. He was talking with things that we could not see. He would try to beat me. He said that he was seeing a Tokoloshi. We took him back to Joburg. It was one hell of a trip fighting with him until we arrived in Joburg. We spent a lot of money. I took him back to Venda, went with him to this other ZCC prophet, but nothing worked. The doctors, specialist, nothing was working. Several months passed, my husband getting worse. That was when I met a certain man from Malawi. This was a traditional healer based in Hillbrow. He said that he was going to assist my husband because he saw that my husband had been beaten by a Tokoloshi. My husband had tried to chase away a Tokoloshi that was powerful, yet he did not have any power at all. So after a few weeks, when we had been assisted, that was when my husband started to get better. Gradually, he went back to speaking properly. He stopped running away, stopped laughing at me. In the end, he was a person who was now normal. I thought that the problem was over. He then started to develop this kind of a relationship with that Malawian Sangoma. So this was normal, because this Malawian man was the one that had assisted us. So I could not stop my husband from visiting Hillbrow to see how that man consulted with the people that came to him. So I allowed them to become friends. We kept on becoming friends with that Malawian healer. Even at work, I started to bewitch other people that I did not like, that hated me at work, but it was not that very bad. I would just bewitch people so that they can have some mistakes at work and they can be given a warning. That was all that I was doing. All of a sudden, that was when my daughter started to get really sick. My daughter became sick after I had bought my daughter a high jom when we were traveling from Joburg to Venda to visit my brother who was not okay. My daughter started to vomit. She vomited quite a lot. When we returned back to Joburg, my daughter was worse. She could not even talk. And at that time, I was still working in the maternity ward. So me and my husband, we then went to Hillbrow. When we went to Hillbrow, my husband was then told by that Sangoma that what was supposed to happen was that I was supposed to get an umbilical cord from the hospital, and then I was supposed to bring it with me to Hillbrow, and they were going to use that umbilical cord and some Malawian herbs so that my daughter can be okay. So, Brother Nashim, one day I helped a certain woman from Mozambique to give birth. The baby was born very healthy, and when that woman just fell fast asleep because she was so exhausted. So the healer had said that if I was going to bring that umbilical cord, he was going to grind it, and then we were supposed to administer the charms to my daughter. We were administering these charms that had the umbilical cord 3 times each and every day. In the morning, we would put it into the porridge that we would cook for my daughter. Still, she would vomit, but the healer told me not to take my daughter to the hospital, but to continue administering that charm. It was going to stop the vomiting eventually. I kept on administering the charm to my daughter, even though there was no hope. My husband would be like, I'm not sure if we should continue doing this. I'm thinking about taking our daughter to the hospital. But I had the belief of a mother that we were supposed to listen to the traditional healer, what he had told me, because he had cured my husband from his madness when he had been bitten by a tokoloshi. I knew that my husband, even though he was afraid that our daughter was going to die, but she was not going to die. So I had that belief of a mother. I continued doing this until my daughter started to come back to life again. She started to talk and everything started to be okay. Our daughter eventually recovered, and then we went back to that healer and we thanked the healer. We gave that healer some money. And after this, I thought that it was over. But my husband, he was then told by the healer that in their business that they were doing as sangomas, they could actually make good money. I asked my husband what he meant by that because he was afraid to come clean with me. He did not want to tell me exactly how they would start a business venture where they were going to be making money. He did not want to be open. And I kept on asking my husband, and I said, how are you going to be making money, you and this traditional healer, the joint venture that you are talking about? What my husband did not want to tell me was that he had already told the Sangoma that I was going to agree to keep on stealing the umbilical cords from the hospital and to give them to my husband, and then my husband will take them to that Malawian man so that they can use it and they can give people charms. When he finally told me, he said that this was the chance for us to become rich and to never suffer anymore again. And I said, no, I do not want to do that. But my husband, he said, don't you want us to have financial stability? Don't you want to live in a nice suburb? We are going to sell this house in the location and we are going to stay in the suburbs. The more that I thought about it, eventually I gave in and I said, if this is what my husband thinks is going to give us money, let me just support my husband and I am not going to fight with him. So since this was something that I could not do on my own, one day I approached one of my friends at work. I then gave her money and I told her that there was this other Sangoma, and this Sangoma had spoken with me, and the Sangoma wanted us to steal the blood after a woman would have given birth, the fluids that come out, and if we could, to also steal umbilical cords. And Brother Nashi, when I spoke with my friend about this, she was so scared. She said, what if we get caught? We are going to lose our jobs. And I said, we are not going to get caught because this healer said that he's going to give us some charms that is going to protect us. So this is what we will do. If I was on the shift, if it happened that there is a woman that gives birth, then I would steal the linen that will be full of blood, and I would go and wash them at my house, and I would wash them without using soap and return them back to the hospital. That water, my husband would carefully put it inside of a 5-liter bucket, close it, and take it to Hillbrow. What they were using this for, I really do not know. That was all that the Sangoma would require from my husband, including the umbilical cord. So my husband, whenever he would try to ask that healer, what is it that they used all of these things for, he never wanted to tell my husband. So we would always target those women that were so exhausted, the first time mothers, by the time that she has given birth, all that she wants is to rest. She would look for her baby after she would have woken up. Several years passed. Me and my best friend, we did this. We managed to sell the house that we had in the location, and we moved out of the location. Then we started to stay somewhere else in the suburbs. People, when they would see me driving big cars at work, they never understood. My husband and I, we then started a company, as we had been told by the Sangoma to start another company. He then gave us some charms that he told us to go and throw those charms at the local municipality where we have our house. I can't mention the area. And we did this, you know why? We did this because we had been told that we were supposed to have a business, a big business that people, when they see me, they'll be like, where else do you think that they are getting money? Obviously, they are getting their money from the tender. These people, they are now tenderpreneurs. So me and my husband, we then started a mobile food kitchen business, and then we started to apply for tenders after we had gone to throw the graveyard soil at the municipality offices. We later submitted our documents. Surprise, surprise. Then we won a tender, just like we had been told by the traditional healer. At work, I was driving the latest cars at all the times, and people would wonder, a nurse is earning not so much money, but this is the type of a car that she is driving. People could not understand how it was even possible. But what they did not know was that we were using those charms. Fast forward, me and my husband, we started other businesses, and eventually I retired, Brother Nashim. I retired because I did not want to continue to get the umbilical cord from the hospital, because as long as I was working there, even if I tried to tell my husband that I did not want to continue stealing the umbilical cords because we had enough money, but my husband, he would go to Hillbrow, he would try to speak with that traditional healer, and then the traditional healer will be like, even though you say that you do not want to provide these umbilical cords anymore, but we had a deal, we are supposed to do this, and this is what we did. I just created a scenario at work, and I pretended as if I had been fired at work, but I had just retired. That was the end of our relationship with that Malawian doctor. We do not know if this Malawian doctor is still doing this. My friend passed away, but there are times when I dream about her, she is telling me that she is in a dark place. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our dear sister from Venda. Let us speak with him in the comment section. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Have you ever dealt with such nurses that wanted to take something after you would have given birth from you, and you suspected that maybe they wanted to use them for some kind of rituals? If so, you can come to my inbox and share with us your own side of the story.